Hello, DevOps people. Welcome to my stream. I'm Jochen. Today will be interesting because I will get back to Ruby on Rails coding after months of abstinence. Sorry. Um, so today's agenda has three items that affect our hosting dashboard, which is written with Ruby on Rails. But before I get into this, I'm going to make a bug fix for the DNS cookbook that I built a few sessions ago. It's always like this. You have a pull request or you have a change, you tick off all the boxes, and then you make the mistake of asking for peer review, and people come and ask you to fix a bug. In this case, I seem to have written a thing by more or less muscle memory, IPv4 in the SPF record I'm generating, but unfortunately SPF format or syntax seems to require IP4 without the V. So I'm going to fix this so we can get this pull request merged. But I almost forgot. Welcome to the stream. If you have any questions, if something is not clear to you, if you'd like to ask me anything, just go into the chat and type away. I'm very happy to respond to you and to make this a bit more interactive. Starting by saying hi. Hi, Simon. So let's get into things. Actually, I'm not that I don't trust my colleague Marcus, but I'm interested to see what the syntax actually looks like so I can memorize it better. And yeah, one of the mechanisms is IP4 and the other one is IP6. Okay, so we'll have to get used to this. Okay. I'm already on my development machine and back into the I went back into the branch where I made these changes, and as you might see if you've attended previous sessions, I have split my Tmux window here so that I don't have to switch between editor and shell. That way I can switch over with a keystroke and you will still be able to see my code. Okay, so let's take off the V here and let's see if we have any tests that will be affected by this change. Actually, I'm not sure what exactly I am testing. Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, I'm just doing DNS queries, but yeah, okay, this should still work. So let's take a look. I probably have to change my kitchen YAML. Yeah, this feels much better with the split window. Okay, and let's run converge. I'm a bit I'm not content with the tests here because these tests actually didn't catch my error with providing the wrong mechanism here. And I wonder if there is something that I can do to make this more robust. But other than just repeating what I had in the code is not really an improvement. Maybe I'll think of something. Let's let this settle for a bit. Since my tests don't cover my changes or my change at the moment, they should run perfectly again. At least I can see it's adding the IP4. And I guess that's what the test should check. We could simply start with that. Okay, let's add this. And in this case it should be an A mechanism because we're checking a domain. So if we run kitchen verify, it does work. And that's all I need to do. Fix wrong SPF mechanism. Due to muscle memory. I don't need to comment on this. IP addresses got added to SPF records with an IPv4 mechanism. SPF syntax requires IP4. No. Oop. And we can actually add the URL here. And that should be that. Okay. Good. So let's tick off the first one. Now. Oh, just saw that you're leaving. See you later, Simon. Let's close this tmux session. And let's go to our dashboard project and open a new tmux session here. Let's start by splitting the window again. And the first thing that I'd like to do, which I have to do in regular intervals, is to update the gems we are using. And for that, I have a rake command that will run a check if there are any security issues with the gem versions we are using at the moment. And if that's the case, we have to update gems. As a background, you won't see some, yeah. Oh yeah, you can see here the whole development environment runs in Docker containers. Maybe it's better to just see the Docker compose YAML. So I'm actually running the Rails application in a Docker container, and in additional containers we have the Postgres database, the Redis database, and a Chef 0 server, because the hosting dashboard of our hosting platform talks directly to our configuration management software. So let's see. Let's simply run rake security gems. Nope, I'll have to run it in the Docker container, so it's Docker compose exec in the app container rake security gems. Hey LNG Grinds. Hi Jochen, I have a question. I'm working on a simple .NET Core app and I want to host it on AWS. For last project, I just created the infrastructure using which is a lot of clicking. This time I would like to automate the process. However, since the app is really simple, I would not want to over-engineer the solution. I just need to use IAM, VPC, EC2, and Route 553. I don't even need any auto-scaling or redundancy at this point. Can you suggest any tools that will help me? Any other suggestions? Yeah, there are multiple solutions that you can use on AWS, and there is one in particular that I have in mind, which is AWS OpsWorks. Where you have the choice between Chef and Puppet to automate things. This might seem over-engineered too, but if you have just a simple use case at the moment, doing it with Chef or Puppet will be simple too, because you only have a few steps to get things running on. But the advantage you have is now you're in the game of configuration management, and from there you can extend and expand as you like and as demand requires. There might be more simple solutions like scripting as well, but that didn't even spontaneously cross my mind. I'm so much into using the existing tools like Chef, Puppet, Terraform, all these DevOps automation solutions, and I think just picking one that oh, you know what, another one you should probably take a look at is Ansible. Ansible is another configuration management solution, and it does have AWS integration. And from what I've seen so far, it's quite easy to get your first steps down, and it still will be able to help you if your use case gets more complex. So if OpsWorks seems to be a bit much at the moment, maybe try and take a look at Ansible first, because getting your first Ansible playbook done will not take much effort, and I guess that would be an alternative to OpsWorks. Hey, Cicero, how you doing? Happy to have you back. Cassiano, maybe you can weigh in into LNG Grind's questions, how to get into automation on AWS if all you have done before is clicking your infrastructure in the AWS console. And I thought I'd recommend OpsWorks. In my case, I'd use Chef, of course, because that's what I've been doing for 8 years now. But Ansible might be another alternative that allows for an easy entry. Okay, back to my own thing. Unfortunately, there actually are vulnerabilities, and so I'll have to make sure we have better, newer versions. And what's nice about this Ruby advisory database is that it actually makes suggestions about the versions to use. So I'll go over here and create a new branch. I'll just name it Gem Upgrades. And let's take a look at our gem file. I'm not familiar with the Loofah gem. I'm afraid it's a dependency that gets pulled somewhere. And Rails HTML sanitizer is probably part of Rails itself. Let's take a look at gemfile lock to find out. Yeah, action pack, Rails HTML sanitizer, and Loofah. Oh. Is actually a dependency of Rails HTML sanitizer. Okay. So I should be able to do bundle update Loofah. We should get a version higher than 2.2.1. Yep, 2.2.2. Nice. And we'll do the same bundle update Rails HTML sanitizer. Which ideally would have the updated dependency. I should have upgraded that one first. It might have resolved the Loofah upgrade as well. And we are on 104, which we should use. Okay. So let's run our tests first. Oh, I actually didn't run bundle update in the container. I ran it on my development environment here. So let's do the same bundle update Rails HTML sanitizer. Yeah, I'll have to get used to this. I haven't touched this in quite a while. So let's read up the chat. But for the system automation, I would say that for our AWS automation, one of the simplest and fastest tools to work will be Terraform. Okay, you can build your whole your AWS infrastructure. That's right. Yeah. Isn't a loofah a backscratch? Yeah, I think it is. It's something that you use in the bath. What you install on the nodes, you should pick any tool that you. I also like Chef, but Ansible is also simply a good option. Yeah, we are actually Zendesk. We have been Zendesk customers for many years now, and use the Zendesk API to create tickets from our dashboard. And Casiano, it works very well, so no need to be afraid. Okay, let's see. Can I run rate test now? So Rake Test actually runs a number of test suites. Rubocop, it runs Rails best practices. Both are about coding style and the way you build your Rails application. Then it's Brakeman to check that you are fine from a security perspective. And in the end, if all these foundational stuff is good, it runs our RSpec test suite. And we're good, so I can okie dokie. That will run the same tests on Circle CI, and I'll get back to this topic later. Would like to be able to put some files in Git, make changes, deploy changes. Yeah, that's exactly what you'd like to do. Depending on what application you're running, it might also be an option to go from infrastructure as a service, Amazon, to a platform as a service. For example, we are running our hosting dashboard on Heroku, which does allow us to simply do a git push and everything gets upgraded and updated, and our new version of the web application is delivered. Of course, you're going to pay for the added convenience and the stuff that the ops team at Heroku takes off your hands. Now, we got the easy stuff out of the way. My next task will be to replace a model attribute. So let's take a look at what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is our hosting platform is for managed hosting for big Drupal and WordPress websites. So what we do is we run all the services that more enterprisey websites need. We run the web application on many application servers at once. So we have load balancing in place, we have additional MySQL databases on MySQL clusters, we run Redis instances, Memcached, we put Varnish reverse proxies in front of every web application so that we get caching and speedy delivery of static files. And that's what we provide as a service. Our customers simply do what LNG Grinds wants to do, which is push your WordPress or your Drupal website to our Git repository, and within a few seconds the application is updated and online, and everything else is taken care of by our web operations team. So, since we have been specializing in Drupal and WordPress, so far we run only PHP runtimes on our application servers. And that's actually what we are offering on the dashboard, where the customer can choose between different PHP versions. Well, hello, Simon. Welcome back. And now we realized, okay, the web development world makes progress, and even agencies that specialize in Drupal or WordPress or both try their hands at other stuff, for example at React front ends and things like that, and that requires a completely different runtime. In the case of React, for example, you'll have to run something like Node.js, and it took me a while to realize that we don't have actually to build something completely from scratch to accommodate these new kinds of runtimes. We'll simply set up a different type of application server. So it's not that the customer needs to select from the start, are you going to run a PHP application? Then you'll get the UI that you're used to, or what, do you want to run something like Node.js? Then you get something, another UI that we'll have to build. It's much simpler. The customer simply selects the runtime for their web application, and we'll just have to add something like Node.js on top of PHP 5.6, PHP 7.0, PHP 7.1, and so on. The mistake we've made when we, and when I say we, I mean I, built the website model here, is that I didn't think that far, and I added a field named PHP version. And now I've realized, okay, this should actually be more generic, and it should be named something like runtime or runtime version or something like that. And that's what I'm going to change. I'm going to change PHP version to runtime, but of course this has implications. And it starts with having to change the name of the model field, which directly corresponds to the name of the database column. So we'll have to change that, and it also has to change a field in our configuration management data, and it goes on and on. In application development, making sweeping changes like this is pretty much frowned upon, and it makes much more sense to break things down into more simple steps. It'll take you a bit longer to get to your end goal, but it'll make things and dealing with the necessary changes much easier. So I thought I'd start by adding a new column named runtime and see how I can deal with having two columns that somehow need to correspond. The main advantage of this approach is that we'll still have the PHP version column and everything will work as it has for months and years, and I can gradually go on and get the runtime column in action. And adding a column, of course, is not too complicated. I can simply do a Rails migrate. Oh god, I think I need to relearn everything from scratch. Let's take a look at the Rails guides. I suppose it's ActiveRecord migrations. Here we are. So, creating a migration. It's Rails generate migration. That's why I was insecure. Rails generate migration, and the nice thing is if we name it cleverly, Rails will do the main work for us. So in this case, add runtime to website, runtime string. Please let this work. I can't believe I've forgotten everything. Oopsie boy. Okay. I'm curious if you always listen to this music or it's only during stream. I like to work to music. But yeah, you are right. Yeah, it sounds like basically soft porn background music. We can. The song is called Beached, and it's on the ambient station of my streaming music app. We can go to something more driving. So speaking of driving, I normally listen to some kind of electronic stuff while I'm working. Mostly it's the music for programming playlist on Spotify. In this case, where I'm broadcasting music, I'm using an application named Pretzel, and they provide music that is royalty free, that I can stream without getting my wrist slapped by some kind of copyright issue. Yeah, but if I actually don't notice the music in the background too much because I'm focusing on the stuff I'm rambling on about, and if you don't like the music, just let me know and I'll skip, or I could even change channels to something more electronic or something. Noisio.app. No, I haven't heard of it so far, but I'll definitely give it a try. So, unable to access log file. I see. Looks like I have to run everything in the application container, don't I? Docker compose exec app. Because of course there is no Rails server running on my development machine. There is no Redis server and all that stuff that's necessary. Oh, it can emulate beach, ocean. Oh, it's a kind of a noise generator. I'm using an app on my iPhone when I'm working in a coffee shop. It's named very similarly. It's called Noisely, and you can tell it to play, say, forest sounds and a babbling brook and rustling leaves and stuff like that. And you can even mix everything together, so you get your own soundscape there. Okay, it's the OS 10 version of it. Okay, yeah, that's something I turn to quite often, actually, because it's very near to white noise, and I'd like to drown out stuff around me if I'm working, say, for example, in a coffee shop. So now we have our migration, and the nice thing is that since I've named it add column name to model name, the migration should already contain the right thing. In that case, add a column to the website's model named runtime, which is supposed to be a string. That's great. Okay, so what you can do is run break db migrate to apply this migration. And we'll have to run the same migration in the test Rails environment, which is used by our integration tests. And if I go over here and reload the file, we'll see, okay, it even added a comment that runtime now is a model field as well. Okay, that's a nice mini step here. And oh, I forgot to change my branch here. So what I'm going to do is change back to the master branch. And from here I'm going to make a new branch, and I should have an issue for this. So I create an issue. Switch from PHP version to a more generic runtime field. In order to offer other application runtimes, then the different PHP versions. We need to make the choice more. We need to offer a broader choice. This needs to be reflected in both UI and code. I wonder if I should use a checklist to break this up into different steps. I'll see later. Now let's just create this issue, so we have an issue number that I can reference in my branch. So issue number is 330. PHP, or let's just name it runtime. And runtime attribute to website. Okay. By the way, if we run break test, this should of course not break anything, because we've just added a database column that isn't used at all. And while this runs, I can go on thinking about what I'm going to do with this field. Ideally, this field would just reflect the changes that are made to the PHP version field. So whenever the PHP version field is updated, this field should be updated too. And as I see, there are also methods that deal with the PHP versions field, so we'll have to replace them with updated versions as well. Okay, what's a good way to synchronize two fields? Rails, update, column, when changed, something like this. Tracking attribute changes in Rails 5. We are not using Rails 5 yet, but let's take a look at the general approach. That's more the interactive approach. checking for changed attributes in Ruby on Rails. That might be something. Include active model dirty. Using a Ruby model named dirty. The dirty model provides a way to track changes in your object in the same way as ActiveRecord does. So I'm okay. At the moment, so we are still using Rails 4. Website is an ActiveRecord base class, and here it's application record. I assume that's Rails 5. But I guess that's not a bad keyword to search for. Update column dirty, and let's add Rails 4. So we should use. So we'll have a before save. That looks good. So I could do something like self runtime equals something if PHP version changed. That's interesting. Okay. Maybe we should start by creating a test for that. So let's skip past all the other stuff. Maybe here before we go into access control. It updates runtime according to PHP version. Do website. Do we create or do we simply build? We could build, but we'll actually need a cluster to build a website, I guess. Well, maybe we can get by without. Depends on the factories. Build a website. Then we could say website PHP version, let's say 7.1, and we'll do a website save, and then we expect website runtime to equal, let's keep them perfectly synchronous for a start. And that test, of course, will fail. So we have after initialize, after create, so we'll need before save. A hook as well. Oh, in this case even Rubocop already breaks because nested method call website runtime. Okay, but let's do this first before save. Sync runtime. Oh, that's probably a private. Should probably be a private method. Guess this would be a good place. Sync runtime self runtime equals PHP version if version changed. Well, we'll have to also fix the style issue, although I'm not too sure how. Okay, we can get rid of that as well, obviously. Oh yeah. That's why it complains. And that's in 173. Did I split this Vim window? Didn't intend to do that. Model website. Okay, Rubocop is happy. Judging from these warnings, I should take a look at upgrading simple form as well. Huh. I'm actually astonished that this is that all it took. Okay. Love it. And I'd like to go a bit further and actually extend this a bit. Because PHP version actually contains only the version number, so it's 7.1. If we make this more generic, it should probably be something like PHP 7.1, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'll say, okay, we are going to call this PHP, and then PHP version. Obviously, our test should then check for PHP 7.1. Let's make things easier to parse by separating these two. So we have the language, hyphen, and then the version number. So we can split at this point if we needed to. Okay. Vim is behaving a bit strangely in my window here. I'll have to try this. So let's go to sync. Yeah, the problem is that my keystrokes don't work if Vim itself is split. The main reason why I was so surprised that it worked out of the box is that I remember struggling with this with a similar problem in the past, and it took me much more work to get this actually solved. It might even be that method over there up here, this initialize attributes post create. Oh no, the issue is a bit different here. Yeah, okay. No, it's only similar, but the previous problem was actually a bit more complex than what I'm doing right now. Okay, tests run fine. I guess I'll commit this as well. Sync runtime field with PHP version. No, it's not field, it's attribute. Let's push things so we don't lose anything if my development server goes down. Okay. Now we have a working runtime attribute. And I should also be able to reflect this in the output to our system configuration management. Up here, we create a hash that has all the information about a website. And somewhere there is the PHP version, and it's safe to simply add another field to this hash because it's just added to the JSON output and so far ignored by everything that reads it. So that's that. But it's good to have this in there. Now, where to go from here? We'll probably have to have a UI change as well. And we should also update the runtime column for all the existing records. Hey Slayer, good to have you back. Debugging some Laravel stuff for work. Yeah, that's fun. And today I'm doing something very similar here. Working on a Ruby on Rails application. So it's a bit of an exception today, where I'm not working on infrastructure automation, but on an actual web application. Okay, tests again run fine, so we can expect the runtime field to be in our system management data. I love it when your project manager thinks email text changes will take like 5 minutes, but most of the template is dynamic. And it requires a lot of code changes, yeah. You have to hunt everything down. On the other hand, that might be a sign that your code design could need some improvement. If it's spread around too much. Maybe introducing some kind of class that is in charge of doing all the necessary things will help you to corral everything. But I'd have to have a look at your application to be more helpful. Okay. I'm literally inheriting all of our former senior devs projects. Grats. I love that. I love that phrase. Write your code as if the person who is going to inherit it is a psychopath that knows where you live. Okay, I'm actually stuck a bit now. Probably because it took much less work than I expected to get here. Okay, so we have our runtime field that is synchronous to the PHP version. At some point we'll have to change the UI to say runtime instead of PHP version, and it'll list all the PHP versions that are available at the moment. I guess the main thing to do now is to update the fields in the database. Yeah, so I'll create another migration. That we'll call populate runtime or website runtime. This time Rails will not be able to help us. Changing a read-only file. Why would this be read-only? That's strange. Anyway, we have to get all websites and do stuff with that. I wonder if it's possible to make this well, at the moment we could simply say update all. There is an update all method, isn't there? ActiveRecord update all. Yes, there is. Update all. Can we have SQL code in there? Update all. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Update all original ID equals ID. In my case, I'd need something like website update all, runtime equals concat PHP version, right? So this former senior dev built a booking system in Laravel for some extracurricular school. Okay, well that's senior stuff. For one of the class models, he has the start and end times, which makes sense. Classes always have a start and end time. Okay, I'm excited to see how this develops, but doesn't have the actual class date. Feels bad, man? Yeah, it does. So classes only have times, not dates. If they are daily for eternity, you don't need a date. Okay, let's see if concat is actual SQL. It's been years for me to have written actual SQL, more complex SQL. Or is it concatenate? Oh, it's actually concat. Not bad. Yeah. Okay. These have specific dates. Yeah, if it's an extracurricular school, it's probably Tuesdays at 7 p.m. or something like that. Or next Saturday at 3 p.m. Okay, well... Why is this read-only in the first place? That's very strange. Okay. So, let's run another db migrate. Oh, my bad, he defined it in another model. He's still a dodgy coder. Okay. Alrighty, this looks good. It did something in 0.07 seconds. Yeah, my development database isn't that big. Let's see. Let me launch a Rails console and see how my records actually look like. Something like website last. Huh. So this website had PHP's version 7.0 and runtime is PHP-7.0. And website, say, second. Version 5.6, runtime is PHP-5.6. I love it. The model changes. Ah, that's the chef change, actually. And in this case, what's that file? Okay. There's just some ordering stuff, I guess. And that that's again the chef change, right? Yep. So we'll add these two files. And finally, we'll add this migration. Okay, in this case, I'm using the capital W intentionally because it hints at a model, at a class name. Okie dokie. You're good. Let's push this as well. And I guess that's all I'm going to change today, but I'd like to have a look at these PHP methods and where they are used. They're actually used in views. Okay, I'll have to tell AG not to search in log files. It seems to be more of a helper method in views. In this case, okay. Yeah, we can change this. That's just to check if a website still is using a version, a runtime that is not supported anymore. And we'll be able to change that into runtime supported. That's good. And in edit, why isn't in edit? Ah, okay. Yeah, it's just used for another warning if a website uses a version that is not supported anymore. Okay, that makes sense. So we can change these into runtime supported and runtimes available. And get closer to our goal. But that's for another time. Let's take a look at this. Replace a model attribute. Well, we didn't actually replace it. We haven't replaced it yet. It's more introduce a replacement attribute, and we'll get rid of the original later. Okay, so let's change this. Retroactively introduce a replacement model attribute, and with history rewritten like this, we can check it off. What I didn't get to is the fourth task here. A few sessions ago, I started to use Travis CI for the first time for for a Ruby command line tool that we are developing. Travis CI will be better for our chef continuous integration as well, because it can actually run chef tests, which Circle CI still has issues with, and that's why I'd like to move everything from Circle CI to Travis CI, because we are paying for Travis CI anyway. So I'd like to use Travis CI for continuous integration and deployment of our dashboard application here as well. We'll leave this for an upcoming session. Maybe the next one on Tuesday, I'm not sure yet. Cassiana, what do you have there? Oh god, I'm not sure if I should laugh or cry about this. Learn BCHS. Let's take a look. Just a second. It opened on another desktop, and BCHS, pronounced beaches, is for real development. It's a hipster-free open source software stack for web applications. And it consists of BSD, the B, the C programming language, HTTPD as the web server, and SQLite as the database. So it's basically the self-proclaimed non-hipster LAMP stack with BSD instead of Linux, C instead of PHP, HTTP instead of Apache, and SQLite instead of MySQL. And it's supposed to be a stable developer-oriented platform for operating in hostile environments. And that's why they are using C. I can understand OpenBSD, because that's a very security-focused Unix. I don't get the C. This must be a hoax, isn't it? Don't care for a talk, see an easy example. I guess I look at that later. It's self-proclaimed not a joke. Is beaches a joke? No. Software development is full of jokes. This is not one of them. Well, it's something different. I give them that. And I'm curious enough to take a closer look at what they are actually doing, because I'm not sure, especially if you're developing web applications, how C comes in. But they are right. It is a straightforward non-mustachioed language. I don't think Ruby is mustachioed either, even though it had its hype time, which is over again. Oh dear. Here's the web browser, by the way. Okay. Okay. I think that's something we can end on. It's almost 5, so I'll call it. And I'd like to thank you for watching. I'm happy to have you on the stream. Please don't forget to follow the stream so you get notifications when I'm online again, which will be next week, Tuesday and Thursday at 3:30 p.m. GMT. If you have any feedback, if you have any questions or other stuff that you'd like to contact me about, simply go to the URL in the footer of your screen of the stream, and you will get to my GitHub issues, and simply go to this agenda item for today and submit a comment if there's anything you'd like me to change, or if you have any suggestions. I'm always happy about praise as well. And apart from that, I guess I'll see you next week. Cheers.